Good morning, Anchor.
Good
We're
morning.
excited to gather with you this morning.
Yep, happy day after Christmas.
Yes, yeah, it's fun because we pre-record some of the stuff so that we're actually at home right where you are at home with your families right now, but we're pre-recording, so we're not in normal clothes. We're in pajamas, and we hope that you are too for an extended amount.
These are not our pajamas.
No, these are not the
pajamas. But when you're
pajamas.
watching this, we will be in pajamas, not here in these chairs recording.
Yes. Yeah, we hope you're having a calm, relaxing morning. We are probably not experiencing much of that calm and relaxing amongst our broods of people at home with us, but
7, almost 8 kids.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. They're probably chatting. So maybe you're not even hearing us right now, which is perfect because we've got a lot of fun things to tell you and a lot of things that if you miss it, you can check out the events page coming up on the website and catch any more details that you're not catching in the mix of home chaos.
Totally.
This is the last Sunday of 2021, which is just crazy.
So wild.
Yeah, it's been what a whirlwind of a year, but it's fun to end on this note and to just get to be, in our respective homes. Some people have chosen to do this morning with friends or gathered with their anchor groups, and even some are in person. Our Anchor Lincoln group is actually meeting together in a really fun service or gathering this morning. And
so if you're a Central person, this is a great opportunity to go check out Lincoln this morning.
Go pop in with them. It's not too late. They start at 10 o'clock, but fashionably late is totally acceptable around here. So get in that car, jump in, hop over there. You won't see us because, again, we're in pajamas, but if you're in pajamas and you feel like that's holding you back, go in pajamas.
Don't be held back.
Yeah, rock it. Everyone expects December 26th, maybe through, I'm going to go 31st, that pajamas in public are acceptable. I'm going to proclaim that, and you can, take with that advice what you will.
I've never heard that.
Yeah.
It's good to know.
Yeah. Grace on grace is what's just going to overflow always from me. So I'll champion the pajamas in public forever. So we have fun things.
So next time we're back in person on January 2nd.
Yes.
What are we starting that day?
Yes, we're starting our new series called Exiles. That is, we're going to take a really deep dive through 1 Peter. And we're going to camp there actually for a really long time.
Yeah, which is so cool because we don't always do that with our teaching series where we just take a book and then just stay in it for a long time. So we're going to get to learn just from 1 Peter for quite a while.
Yeah, we have a lot of fun ways to be diving deeper outside of Sundays, but also starting on the 2nd, that's when we'll be really kicking it off. So you don't want to miss that.
Yes. Yeah. Anchor groups will be talking about the teaching, back to that after Rooted, and not too late to jump into an anchor group if you weren't doing one in the fall. So we'll be talking about that soon too.
So awesome. And then on the 22nd, which is a Saturday, we have Anchor Track, kind of like a more condensed, intensive Anchor Track. So usually our Anchor Track is 4 Sundays in a row, and we cover kind of different pockets of things. And instead we're trying this new thing where we're going to do one Saturday for 3-ish hours, and we're going to pack it all in, which is super awesome. And it's just a really cool opportunity. For us, me and my husband, we didn't really understand Anchor Track stuff when we started coming a couple years ago. And so we actually did those things really delayed, but it was so cool to have been around and knew we love this place, and we feel like there's so much intentionality and cool stuff happening here. And then to take Anchor Track with all of the context we had, it gave us so much information about the whys behind all the things that we were noticing that we loved but weren't really sure, what's on purpose or what's different about this place. And so that was super awesome. So if you're new, feel new, or don't feel new, this is a really cool opportunity to
just if you have never come, and if it's been a while since you've come, and
you can retake it.
Totally.
Every time that I'm helping to facilitate this, one of the Anchor Track things, I learned so much. Again, something new stands out to me, and so just don't, if you're curious, come. And even if you can't come for the whole time, you can register on the events page. And you can also, there's information of ways to ask more questions if you have some clarifying things about what it could look like, and popping in even for one part. Maybe you took the track before but you missed one of the weeks. We could tell you an approximate time to pop in and make sure that you're kind of collecting all of the information that you could about our community and the intentionality behind it. So And before the 22nd,
Yeah.
we have some of my favorite things that we do
I
here.
know, it's so sweet. So on January 9th, we're going to be doing child dedications. So this is not just for newborns, though we have lots of those at Anchor. If you just have a child that you have never dedicated, or you're an adoptive parent, or you have a mess of kids and you never dedicated any of them, you could do all of them at one time.
Yeah.
But it's just a really sweet time to be in front of your church family, just declaring that you intend to raise your kids in the ways of Jesus, and it's really sweet and special, and it's a neat thing we get to do as a church. So you're invited to do it if you are a family and have not done that yet.
So it'll be on January
9th. Yeah,
and
register as
either
soon as
gathering.
possible so we can prepare for
Perfect.
that.
I love that. So good.
I know.
Well, we're just excited that for the season that we're in, and we hope that you're finding rest and restoration. And if you need us, you know how to find Anchor. We'd love to walk alongside you into the new year, and are just excited for what's to come. Hope that you are able to maybe get a little cozy and settled in this morning. We'll be heading into worship, and we're just looking forward to another great morning as a community.
You come at the right time, when I least expect it, never behind. So why would I be surprised when you deliver every time? On mountain tops, you say the same. In valleys low, you never change. And I believe that I will see the goodness of the Lord. I'm confident as seasons change, your faithfulness remains. Oh, oh, oh. You go before me to prepare a blessing. You made a way. It's more than I could imagine, more than I could fathom or comprehend. On mountain tops, you stay the same. In valleys low, you never change. And I believe that I will see the goodness of the Lord. And I'm confident as seasons change, your faithfulness remains. Oh, oh, God of my present, God of my future, you write my story, you hold it all together. God of my present, God of my future, you write my story, you hold it all together. God of my present, God of my future, you write my story, His blood and in His name, in His freedom I am free. For the love of Jesus Christ, who has resurrected me. Praise the Father, praise the Son, praise the Spirit, three in one. God of glory, majesty, praise forever to the King of Kings. Praise forever to the King of Kings.
Good morning, Anchor. Happy day after Christmas. I hope that your Christmas was full of many moments of delight and gratitude as you celebrated the birth of our Savior. We are so glad that you have joined us for church online this morning. Hey, if you are new around here and you're checking us out, or even if you've been around a while and you just want to connect with us, please utilize our digital connection card that you will find a link to here on this platform. Share prayer requests with us, questions, comments. We love hearing from you, so please do utilize that and reach out to us using that digital connection card. Also, you will find a link to give here on this platform. Your financial partnership with us is so crucial to all of the ministry that we have happening at Anchor. And what better time to give generously than in the final days of 2021? You can designate your financial gift to the Forward Fund, which will go to special projects that God has put on our hearts for the coming season. A couple other things that we want to have on your radar are we have child dedications coming up on January 9th. Please register your family for this as soon as possible. And then also on January 22nd, we're going to be offering Anchor Track all in one day. We normally offer this as a series of classes in 4 consecutive weeks. So take advantage of this rare opportunity to learn all things Anchor all in one day. You can learn more about it on our events page on our website. Next up, for our last teaching of the year, we will be learning from John as he talks about what it means to prepare for someone else. So grab your Bible and something to take notes, settle in for this teaching from Pastor John.
Well, good morning, Anchor. And thank you so much for gathering with us this morning. We hope that you had a great Christmas. We hope that you were able to spend time with those you love, and it was a time of really remembering the birth of Jesus that filled you up on a whole bunch of different levels. We're so glad, if you had a great Christmas, that you're joining with us this morning. And for those of you who are gathering with us today and Christmas was a bit hard this year for whatever reason, well, we're really glad that you're here with us too. I hope that the words that you hear today, whether I was in worship before or in the teaching right now, are going to be a comfort to you. And for those who are coming in feeling great, I hope that this helps continue to propel you feeling that way into the new year. It's hard to believe that 2021 is coming to an end really soon. I still don't believe that we were in 2021. 2020 was so weird, it just feels like everything stopped. And it's been a year again. Like, it's been a year. We said that about this same time last year, that, man, 2020 was such a year. And honestly, I really hope to be saying something different as we were at this point of the year right now. But I can't. It's been a year. It's been a hard year. I don't know what the year has looked like for you exactly, but I have some good ideas. I think that for a lot of us, the year had more down moments than up moments. That it had more unmet expectations than met expectations. I think for a lot of us, there's been moments that were better than anticipated, but also than worse than anticipated, and a lot just kind of in this middle ground. Many of us had held out hope that this year would be a year of breakthrough, of new life, of renewed unity, and in a lot of ways, those hopes have been let down. The readings that we were doing leading up to each week of Advent have tried to kind of strike that same chord that I just described. The reading for the first week of Advent included these lines: "The final weeks of a difficult year dry up and drift away like crisp leaves from a maple tree. By all accounts, 2021 did not live up to the hopes we had piled on it. The same griefs from previous years remained. Canceled plans, nations split along political fault lines, the marathon against injustice, our personal battles against loneliness, isolation, and weariness. I think all of us felt some stress from those types of events in some way or another. In the second week of Advent, though, our reading reminded us of the following. It says this: during this Advent season, at a time where everything around us is changing, let us take a moment to remember that we have a light that guides our path during all moments. A light that points out the hope in all situations. A peace that surpasses all understanding. A faith that can move mountains. And a love that saves us. And so I was preparing for this message, knowing this is the Sunday after Christmas, getting us ready to head into the new year. I was asking God a question that I often ask as I get ready to teach, which is this: God, what are you wanting me to say to your people today? You see, a lot of years past, I probably would have said something about how to start the year right, or how to get into a new habit, or how to look ahead and set goals. But the more I prayed, the more I talked to God about it, the more I realized that wasn't what God was asking me to say today. Instead, I just kept coming back to this one idea for today. God is simply asking us over the next week to do this, to catch our breath. So today we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what does it look like to finally be at the end of yet another exhausting year. And I think it's been exhausting, even if your year was better than average, right? There's just been so much weird tension and disunity, and we're all tired. No matter how great the year's been, I think a lot of us, we're just tired. And so I think God's asking us to take the next week and focus on this phrase: catch your breath. Catch your breath. What would it look like if for the next week, you, as much as your time and job schedule allowed you to do, did whatever you needed to do in order to catch your breath before heading into 2022? Maybe for you, a part of that is starting a new routine, or setting some healthy goals, or sitting down and looking back at the year that was and pointing out areas for growth. If that feels like catching your breath for you, that's awesome. Go for it. If that doesn't feel like catching your breath, I have some great things for you. But even if all those like aspirational new goal things does feel like catching your breath to you, can I ask you to do this? Can I ask you to lean into a couple of other areas over this next week? We're going to look at those two areas today. And as we look at those two areas today, we're going to look at a section of the Bible called the Book of Psalms. The Book of Psalms is a collection of songs and poetry written by a few different people, but mostly by a man who lived in the Old Testament named David. The Book of Psalms has long been a place in the Bible that followers of Jesus have looked to for comfort and soothing in hard seasons. Many passages that are found in the Book of Psalms are familiar to us. We've heard them quoted repeatedly or used in song lyrics. As we come to a year that's closing that had a lot of hardship in it, for us as individuals and for us collectively, I wanted us to go to this section for familiarity, for comfort, for soothing as we try and catch our breath. And so we're going to be in Psalm 8, verses 1 through 4 to start, and it says this: Lord, our Lord, how majestic is your name in all the earth. You have set your glory in the heavens. Through the praise of children and infants, you have established a stronghold against your enemies, to silence the foe and the avenger. When I consider your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars, which you have set in place, what is mankind that you are mindful of them, human beings that you care for them? When I consider your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars, which you have set in place, what is mankind that you are mindful of them? I love those verses. I love the perspective that it gives us. This idea that as we look at the heavens, the stars, the moon, everything that God has created, and we look at ourselves, our imperfect selves of humanity, say, God, what are we? That we are so special in your eyes, that you made everything and still love us. So the first area that I want us to lean into, and if you're taking notes, I want you to write this down. It's this: it's consider the stars. We live in a city. Some of us live in the suburbs, but mostly we live in the city. And so honestly, I have a question for you. When was the last time that you looked up and saw stars? I know it's been a while for me, but it's something I actually want to do more often. Now, I'm not telling you to go camping in December. That sounds cold and miserable. But if you want to, like, if that's who you are, like, awesome, go camping in December. But for the rest of us who don't feel excited about going camping, I want to do this. Will you find time over the next week to go and look at the stars? Drive somewhere, maybe to a field. You're going to put out a blanket. You're going to lay on it. You're going to look up at the stars. Maybe you're going to go on a rooftop somewhere because that's where you feel closer to God. Maybe you're going to go outside, even just in your backyard, and look up. You have a fire pit in your backyard. You're going to bring a chair out and you're going to look up at the stars, even as dimly as you can see it through the city lights. Consider the stars. And for those of you with kids, especially those of you that have little kids that are at home with you, here's a fun thing for you to do when you're considering the stars. I want you to wake them up. I want you to wake them up after their bedtime and have them come out and look at the stars with you. A few months ago, there was a fireworks show in Point Ruston randomly in September. And it's supposed to start at 9:30, which is well after all of my wife, Rose, and I's kids go to sleep. They're usually asleep by 7:30. And you see, Rose and I were going to go and watch the fireworks at the end of our cul-de-sac. We live up in Browns Point, which is still technically part of Tacoma. I'll stand on that. But at the end of our cul-de-sac is this huge hill. And from the cul-de-sac, you can get on this huge hill and look out across the water and perfectly see Point Ruston. It's a gorgeous view. And so we had a plan of we were going to go at 9:30, whenever it started, and go look at the fireworks. And probably as we were walking out the door, we looked at each other and we both had the same thought. So let's wake up Griffey. Griffey's our oldest kid, and we wanted to wake him up to have him experience these fireworks with us. So I opened the door to his room, making sure not to wake up his baby brother, and pulled him out of the top bunk of the bunk bed that he sleeps in. And he was so tired, he had no idea what was going on, and then got boots on him and carried him out the door to our cul-de-sac. And once he had waken up a little bit and learned what we were doing, he was so excited. And guys, let me tell you, I like fireworks. I like fireworks. I think they're awesome. But seeing fireworks through the eyes of your little kid, there are few things outside of Harry Potter that I describe as magical, but that was a magical moment. To see my 5-year-old's face light up as he saw these fireworks and have this really special moment with me and his mom. So wake up your kids. Surprise them. Have them come out and consider the stars with you one night this week. I bet this happens. I bet you consider the stars differently. I bet you look at the stars differently. I think that we can often take for granted the size and the majesty of God and his creation. Seeing that creation through the eyes of a young child makes it so that it isn't so easily the case. But maybe you want your kids out there who are older or even the same age to consider the stars, not because you want to see it through their eyes, but so that you can pass along this idea of considering the stars as a habit to them. That's a family tradition that you do during this week leading up to the new year. It's something new that you're bringing into your family because you want to teach your kids that something happens when we look at the stars and consider the idea that the same God who made those stars is the same God who made us and loves us so deeply. I think when we consider the stars, it can help us focus on what matters most. We realize our place in this world. We realize how crazy it is, the God who made everything in this majestic, huge universe that we're just starting to explore, even the beginning parts of, and we know it's far vaster than we can ever imagine, that same God who made all of that knows the number of hairs on your head. It says that he knew you before you were even born. In seasons of hurting or waiting, I think it's really important, probably more important than ever, to have that perspective. To see that no matter how bad things seem or how bad things get, that there's always a bigger picture. And that the same God who knows that big picture, the same God who made the universe, is the same God who says, you are mine, you are loved, you are wonderfully and fearfully made. I think no matter what season we're in, it's important to look and consider the stars. The second thing that I want us to lean into is embracing joy. Again, if you're taking notes, I want you to write down embrace joy. Here's the obvious disclaimer on embracing joy. I said it at the beginning, this might not have been the most joy-filled year for you. It wasn't for me. I get that. It's been a hard year. But I think there's a specific way that the Bible can tell us on how to embrace joy that I really want us to take some time and look at today. So we're going to go back to Psalms. We're going to be in Psalm 162 this time, picking up in verse 2. It says this, "We were filled with laughter, and we sang for joy. And the other nations said, 'What amazing things the Lord has done for them.' Yes, the Lord has done amazing things for us. What joy." So my question for you is this, will you embrace joy in the next week by embracing laughter? I love that this psalm says this, that after God had done something amazing, a God-sized victory that the people of Israel saw, it says this, that they were filled with laughter. Filled with laughter so much to the point that other nations looked at them and said, "What amazing things has God done for them?" Even in the midst of a harder than normal year, I believe this, and I know this, that God has still done so much for us this year. We have seen God move. We have seen God work. We have seen God's victories this year. Sometimes it's hard to remember that. Sometimes you're at a spot at the end of the year where you're like, I don't feel like looking back at January or February or March or June even, because I know, yeah, God did some great things there, but there's also some really hard things there, and I don't want to look at that. I get that. If you want to look back and trace out these God moments, that's awesome. But I think even for those of us that's too painful to do, or we don't want to engage in that activity, can I ask you to do this? Can I ask you to lean into laughter in this week? It's okay to laugh, even if you're coming out of a hard season. It's okay to laugh, even in the midst of a hard season. I've been in living rooms where people are reeling from a tragedy, awful news, a death of someone close that they love, someone taken far too soon. And I've watched as laughter has crept into those rooms in unexpected moments, providing respite from the pain and the sorrow. I've watched as people have given each other eyes around the room and asked the question, is it okay? Can we still laugh right now? I think the answer is always yes. I think God has wired us in a way that laughter does something to our souls. There are moments in deep pain and deep sorrow where laughter, even sometimes it feels like inappropriately timed laughter, can be the best healing we need in that moment. So even if you're in a tough place, I would encourage you this. Will you find some way to lean into laughter in this next week? And I think you're going to find joy through that activity. So can we do something weird? Can we schedule time to laugh? Maybe it's watching that movie that you've seen 20 times that never fails to make you laugh the 21st or 22nd time that you've watched it. Maybe it's watching a TV show that you know is going to be guaranteed to make you laugh. I was visiting a family once. I was doing a stay with them. I was setting up an internship for a college student to come stay with them. So I was staying with this family, and they had the weirdest routine to me, but I loved it. They watched an episode of a sitcom every single day before their teenagers went to school. I just love that because they're like, we don't need to start our day bad. We're going to start our day with laughter, and we think it actually sets up our day really well. And that was just their rhythm, their routine as a family, because they know that something happens when we start our day with laughter. Something happens when we start with laughing because it changes our outlook. And so maybe for you, that's a TV show. Maybe for you, it's you're going to get a group of friends or family together and play that party game that you know is always going to make people laugh. Maybe you're grabbing your kids and you're doing what you said you were never going to do, and you're going to go buy something stupid at the store like that pie in the face game that you never said you were going to play because you know that like our family just needs a moment to laugh in this season. I don't know what that looks like for you, but can you do this? Can you spend some time in the next week laughing? Can you find some time that no matter how great or how bad your year has been, to find time to laugh? I think it's what our souls need. We wanted to keep this teaching pretty short because I really think that God gave us something pretty simple to say. No big New Year's resolution message coming here from Anchor. No 10 ways to live more like Jesus in the coming year. That's not what this is. It's saying this, we really believe, we've prayed and we've heard from God that today what we want you to take away is this, is will you spend time over the next week to catch your breath? Will you put away the to-do list? Will you maybe take some time off of work? Will you look at your family and say, what does it look like for us as a family, or your roommate, or whoever you're living with, whatever that looks like, to say, let's go consider the stars. Let's go look and say, God, how amazing you are. And in light of that, how amazing it is that you love us. Will you find time to consider the stars? And will you find time to embrace joy? Will you find that time to laugh, and by laughing, find time to embrace joy? I think that's what God's asking us to do over this next week as we get our hearts and our souls ready for the new year to come. We just want to say thank you so much for being with us at Anchor all year, whether you've been online, whether you've been in person, whether you've been some mix of both. It's been an honor to be in community with you. Can we do one more thing together in community in 2021? Can we take time over the next week to catch our breath?
Thank you so much for joining us for our online gathering today. As we wrap up and we send you back out into your workplaces, schools, and out into our community, we want to invite you to join us for this commissioning prayer so that we can be united, on mission, and in anticipation of this coming season. So I will be leader and you will be all. We set our hearts on you, anticipating your provision in our coming week. Help us to trust in desert moments. We set our minds on you, anticipating your pursuit of us in our coming week. Keep us from apathy and deepen our hope. When we are distracted or stressed with this season's plans and pain, remind us of your bigger plan. Settle us into your bigger story, reminding us that you hold all things together. We ask all this in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.